A painting is like a one-man jam session, for sure. Canvas in this way is like a net that captures soul matter. And so psychedelic drugs are like almost like an automatic way of doing that. It's like steroids for art. People that think of psychedelics as a cure-all for their life are definitely in for a rude awakening.
It's not a magic wand.
It's not a magic wand. If you're in the past and the future, you are asleep. If you are here now in a sort of thoughtless space, you're awake. Presence is the key, you know, every day, especially in the morning. Gratitude, becoming the sort of observer of your own thoughts so that you know that you are not your thoughts. That's the key.
Action.
Action.
Oh, super.
Hello.
Glad to meet you.
Glad to meet you too.
So I'm really impressed by your art. I didn't know you were painting. For
Yeah.
how long have you been painting?
Ever since I was a kid, I don't sort of distinguish between music and art really. To me, it's just being creative as a function of living. And so it's just, I never started painting, I just never stopped painting because all kids paint. I have a 3.5-year-old daughter. She paints like crazy. I just think if you never get a reason to stop, it's going to evolve and you're just going to keep doing it. So I've always lived by being creative, and it's kind of like a sort of a survival skill, I think, in a way, or a philosophy, I guess.
So if you've been painting all your life, you must have tons and tons of paintings.
Oh yeah, way too many.
Oh yeah, right.
A lot, and that's tough because I have a couple storage spaces, and then my house is full of paintings. You know, even coming here, like I just did this one yesterday and this one last night too. So you can do a lot in a very short period of time, you know. And then painting live too. When we go on tour, I paint live. But if the canvas is stretched, they accumulate and require a lot of space. And that's maybe one way that digital art has some kind of advantage, because you can fit it on a hard drive. It becomes expensive to be a big painter.
I wanted to know, your art is very surreal, I mean psychedelic.
Yeah.
And I was wondering how come you are into this style? Have you analyzed that?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's like, my friend told me there's sacred geometry in it and stuff like this, but it's just really like an opening of an unconsciousness. And I mean, your magazine is about psychedelics, right?
Yes,
like,
yes.
is it about like LSD and stuff like this, or just psychedelic art in general?
We talk about psychedelism. We are an art magazine, but
Yeah.
we talk about society, lifestyle, music. We
Right.
talk about all encompassing.
And what is psychedelism?
Psychedelism is all the areas around the mind manifesting.
Okay.
And
Oh,
of course,
imagination.
Psychedelic means
Yeah.
reveal your soul,
Yeah.
and it's all the ways to reveal your soul in a way.
Right.
So you can do it in a really quick way with products like LSD or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Oh, somebody said, I read somebody like LSD is Ozempic for meditation. I think like basically this kind of material, I kind of maybe discovered it on an LSD trip when I was 15 or something like that. And I didn't know what I was taking. I had an older friend give me a hit of acid, and I had no idea what it was. I thought I was a kid, and it was very strong. And so I looked down at the ground, and all of a sudden I saw all these faces emerging out of the ground and out of the pavement. And then I saw a full-on siren come out of the pavement, like one of those mythological sirens
But
that
it must be a really strong one.
was very, no, I'm not even exaggerating. I realize I've taken it since, and it's like almost like nothing. And so I don't know if a lot of that sprung out of the sort of fact that my mind remained open to exploring this avenue of my subconscious, because I think most art at its best is an exploration of the subconscious, and your ability to be successful with it or not is to the degree you can sort of keep your mind out of the way and just be in flow state with it.
It's exactly what I'm talking about.
Right,
It's
that's
a flow
psychedelia.
state. Yeah,
Yeah,
It's
flow
when
state.
When
Yeah.
you're in a flow state, you're in a psychedelic state.
Right,
So
and
you
that's
don't
what
necessarily need
that's what this is. This is exactly that. Like, I mean, there was no plan or scheme behind it. There's no mental really material here. It's just me in a flow state. Yeah.
You never had a plan when you.
No, not at all. Not really. Maybe a vague idea.
Big idea.
You know, like with this one, I knew I wanted to use a broom, and I had just done this one, and this one was like more meticulous. I had to be like, you know, spend more time on. And I wanted to do this one I knew really fast and violent and be almost like an antithesis of this one. So that's a decision, like a mental decision. But then in the execution, it's just an unconscious explosion. Like I kind of have a plan. Like with this one, I knew I had a plan, like I'm gonna make black and white lines, sort of something like this. But then that's where the mental energy stopped. This one, I knew I was gonna be like a response to this one and quite aggressive and the opposite approach.
When you paint, you do a lot of faces.
Yeah, you can paint like a scene or a portrait, right? So you can paint anything, but I find like a face very interesting, like where you can sort of branch out from there, like as a central point to start. And then from there, you can build a whole world around it. And there are times when I'll try to challenge myself not to paint a face because it can be sort of too easy. But I don't know, something about faces draws me in. So I used to sort of provoke myself to not do that or keep things more purely abstract sometimes. But I like painting the faces as well. So
kind of what is psychedelic has different layers of understanding in a painting generally.
Yeah.
So you kind of look, you realize, oh, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen
Yeah.
that. Oh, this means something. That door must have a reason.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that it needs to be in general intricate, but it can also be...
Yeah, well, I mean, like with art, it's almost like you're going to an oracle or something like that. Because if the art is any good, it's really being derived from the sort of the collective unconscious, I think. Like somebody was like talking about Picasso influence earlier today.
Yeah,
and then I was like thinking like, yeah, I guess so. But, and obviously, you know, I've taken in all that kind of stuff. But again, it's not really a conscious influence. It's more collective unconscious. Like Basquiat or Dubuffet or Picasso or like, there's other people that have faces that are like Picasso. And I don't necessarily think they rip Picasso off. It's more that I think they're tapping into the same collective unconscious space. And then you're sort of taking your own experience and filtering it through that so it becomes individual. But there's lots of reflections to a similar collective unconscious that we go to. I think the same thing with music.
You still do a lot of music?
Oh yeah, I do as much music as anything else. I have a couple new albums I'm getting ready to release. I'm on a music tour right now. But a lot of times with songwriting, you'll write a song and you gotta almost be careful because either the song will be predicting something that's gonna happen in the future, or it's a vehicle for manifesting that thing that's very powerful. So I don't know, you have to be very kind of careful with it, but a lot of times it will tell you stuff about your future. So that's how I know it's like tapping into some other matter that's not your mind. If you're trying to make it from like sort of mental noise, you can't really make art from that place. That can be like an editor or like a little partner that's off to the side that you sometimes listen to, but mainly it's tapping into presence in the now moment, sort of escaping into the now.
Would you compare this to a jam session?
Yeah. A painting is like a one-man jam session, for sure. Yeah, or it's a performance that's captured in time. And like the weird thing about this performance is you just see the evidence of the performance. You don't actually see the performance. Whereas with music, you see the performance in real time.
Following the grain and human dolls as I plagiarize myself like a dummy. Self-accounted for money for Cairo and black honey. I miss illusions begging to be chased, even as they disappear into me erased. Till there is no one and nothing but the chase. And a powdery ghost with no face or faith. And the woman of my dreams disappearing without grace. I miss the zoo. 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 There you go, G now. We're gonna stay on G. Now to the F. I miss evolving into a cloud of blue marijuana blowing from the lips of hookers and pimps as they shake each other down in the alleys for the damned but mighty. No one but the weak around and the beautiful unsightly. I miss numb Neanderthals marching in rows of living dead from my wisdom teeth to Spain and back again in my head. I miss salvation in syringes and angels of mercy and blooms of smoke, numb and rain which drinks when thirsty. I I miss glasses full of spirits who without tongue speak to me of Napoleon's wild nights. I miss staying up for days and becoming a psychic pretzel flying kites, chewed on by a Zulu heading with toads to Mars. A mysterious prison, one without bars, at least those kind of bars. I really do. I miss the zoo. I miss the zoo. I miss the zoo. I miss the zoo.
All right, go to the G. All right.
I miss waking in the arms of strangers like puppies just born in the pound to a dead mother with eyes sealed shut, looking for a tit to suck and other dangers. When the night before laughter was our only pursuit, even as knives carved up our backs and demons sat like Buddhas eating fruit, meditating on hate forever in our minds. I miss exposing even my bones and the need that rewinds, even my burning home, even my gutted inner child, even my dead grandfather beneath the ground that's wild, even my criminal family, even my weed whacker thoughts will be a thin plastic string to cut the ears off others as I sing. I miss Van Gogh's revenge, I miss his nightly binge, I miss spiders surrounding my bed and lifting me as if an effigy or a dead king, a Jesus for the apocalypse wearing dirt like perfume, or a mother for Satan who goes for all the children of abuse. Take me into the fire, watch me burn like a goose as they sing in spite of voices. There goes creation, there goes the moon, there goes a butterfly wanting to be a cocoon. I miss being a bloom and a goon, waking up too soon in the afternoon. A doctor of regret, hanging on to guitar strings in tune, and hanging by a belt wrapped around some pipe to nowhere and felt. My lips too wrapped around what appears to be stained glass, as religious figures dressed like rocks with class turn into gas to the center of my brain. The euphoria of dying and being born all at once, while wearing a hat that reads dance. I really do. I miss the zoo. 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 Ooh. I miss the zoo.
I mean, I painted live, so people actually saw that performance too. But typically with painting, it's like a performance that's captured.
It's like the result.
Yeah, it's the result of a performance.
It's like the studio.
But like with this one, there's lots of performative motion in it. You can see the sort of violence, the sort of aggression in it. And that's what's speaking about it. But that's kind of interesting because it's just still, but it's caught some part of some kind of soul. It's like a canvas in this way is like a net that captures soul matter.
Yeah, definitely, but that's what it's all about when we
Yeah,
talk about psychedelia.
And that's what it is. And so psychedelic drugs are like almost like an automatic way of doing that. Especially if you're practiced at doing that without psychedelic drugs. Like if I wanted to like make something like this and say microdose LSD or something like that, dude, it would be so easy to just, I mean, it's not that it's not even, it's pretty easy for me to do something like this anyway because it's just something I've been doing for so many years. So it's like just almost like writing your signature or something. But if you put psychedelic drugs into the equation, especially like sort of workman level of it, like a microdose, so to speak, or a small portion, it just opens up your mind that much more. It's almost like steroids. It's like steroids for art, basically. You don't need it to work out, but it can certainly...
It puts you in the flow state kind of automatically.
Automatically.
And you let go. Basically.
Yeah, but you can do it without it. And the problem, if you lean on it too much, it then interferes. So it's a real balancing act. People that think of psychedelics as a cure-all for their life are definitely in for a rude awakening.
It's not a magic wand.
It's not a magic wand. But as a tool that you sometimes implement, it's wonderful.
You still implement it?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Here and there. But like, usually if I do it these days, it's a small amount and it's right in the morning. It's not like a party thing. It's not like a oh, I'm drinking, so let me take some LSD or something like that. It'd be more like morning, then do breath work, then go to a Bikram yoga class, and then like do like a yoga class or something, and then make art. If I have like an expanse of time where I can make art. So it'll be like in conjunction with a sort of spiritual practice. So it's not like back when I was a kid or something where you and your friends would go get ripped and then let's take acid and then you think it's this whole weird party and you're just obliterating your mind. It's more measured than that now. Like it's like you're using it as a tool with respect and you realize, okay, this can't be all the time. But it is addictive because in the way that if you are doing like a Bikram yoga class and breath work with it, it makes those things that much more like you tap into like God matter that much harder. And so then the next day you wake up and if you have some, you're like, well, I can do Bikram and breath work again. Might as well tap into that. Like it's addictive in that
like
way.
a shortcut.
Yeah, it's a shortcut. But you know.
Coming back to your music, would you say, because what I've listened from you way back, I don't know, it was that album on Real World.
Yeah, Big City Secrets,
yes.
or I have a couple from Real World.
I think it was the first one.
Yeah, okay, Big City Secrets.
But I don't remember your music was very psychedelic.
Yeah.
Is it more now, or you would say it more influenced you in the process of making the music?
Well, I would say live it's pretty psychedelic because live implement live looping, so it's very open to jamming. And the more I'm touring, the more inventive it gets and the more free and open. And like painting live and stuff like that's a relatively psychedelic thing to do. So, but yeah, I wouldn't say my music's overtly psychedelic in the sort of hippie sense of the word, but I would say it's pretty psychedelic in the sort of musical exploration sense of the word. You know?
And the lyrics, I guess.
And the lyrics, maybe. It depends. It depends on how you define psychedelia, you know? Like if you do it just in the sort of two-dimensional definition of psychedelia, like is like sort of weight of your consciousness or something, like what is psychedelia? Like it's more than just paisleys spinning around and it's like, okay, is ketamine psychedelia? Because that's a horse tranquilizer, but have you ever done that and breath work? Like it's like all the walls between you and other people's consciousness just crumble and you're just one consciousness. And you realize that nothing is hidden in consciousness, that everything is revealed.
Like the overdose of ketamine, kind of.
Right, but that's a form of psychedelia too.
Definitely.
Right? Where you're no longer you anymore. You're just like.
But interesting to see the links between the art, the music.
Yeah.
And so now you live, you were telling me, in Arizona?
I live in Arizona.
Does it influence you on the music, on the art, or just?
It does in a way, like, because I lived in New York for 25 years. So that's a long time to live in New York City. Although I love it, I could have probably lived there my whole life. You know, it's an amazing place to live. So, but Arizona is like very different climate-wise. And there's lots of mountains and amazing hikes. There's also a culture of biohacking, which leads to breath work, cold plunges, infrared sauna, red light therapy, compression therapy, PEMF machines, a whole culture of people that are into that kind of thing, doing breath work together. Because breath work is another inroad towards psychedelia that's
definitely
incredible. And in fact, you really don't need any other kind of like sort of alien substance. You can really do it all with the breath. So there's a lot of that going on. And then there's like this Bikram studio I go to a lot as well, which is another form of it. And another, like everything.
What do you mean big room studio?
Bikram yoga. And then it's just another vehicle towards that unconscious psychedelic opening. It's another avenue of getting there, of quieting the mind, of being present. Like, so for me, the experience of Arizona is all about vehicles towards more and more presence. Or more and more versions of what I consider psychedelia, which is just present.
That's exactly what it is.
Right.
So you don't really need a shortcut.
No, you don't. But it can be fun, especially if you're not leaning on it and you're doing other things to get you there and you realize you can do other things to get you there and then you realize I shouldn't make a habit out of this, but every once in a while take a psychedelic steroid and then do all the things you've been doing anyway and check that out. I think that way it's a healthy thing. Like I don't think it's bad.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
My pleasure, sir.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
If you can tell us a little phrase.
Lucidelic, I would just say presence is the key. You know, every day, especially in the morning, gratitude and presence. Becoming the sort of observer of your own thoughts so that you know that you are not your thoughts. That's the key. And being present and practicing gratitude and presence first thing in the morning, mixed with metacognition, or being the observer of your thoughts, so you can actually be in your life. Because when you catch yourself in these moments when you're actually really, really here, really, really present, and there's really no more psychedelic experiment or experience than that, regardless of substance or no substance.
Perfect. Thanks very much.
Thank you, man. I enjoyed it.
You have an album coming out?
A new album called You're Not a Ghost Anymore. And it's been in the process for a couple years now. And I haven't really put a record out in a while, so I'm excited to do that. There's about 30 songs mastered, and then there's like a mainly acoustic album almost done as well that we'll put out right after that.
It's gonna be released?
It's gonna be released, I think, in like 3 months from now.
Which label?
No label, just independent.
And my friend was saying that you kind of got cancelled in the COVID times.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, but it was good for me ultimately because it was a humbling experience. It did a lot to break down my ego. I couldn't really house my identity and the things I used to anymore. And that was incredibly helpful because I had to house my identity in presence then. And that's a much better place to put your identity or your non-identity. But it's better to be present than in some scheme of your mind and calling it you. And even if the scheme is working, especially if the scheme is working, then it's really hard to overcome it.
Yeah, it's even worse because you are lying to your real self.
Well, you don't even know. It's like an illusion is running the show.
It's an illusion.
It's an illusion. It's not even that you're bad or good or that, oh, somebody who's enlightened or they're better than somebody who's still unconscious, basically. It's not that. It's just unconsciousness. If you're in the past and the future, you are asleep. If you are here now in a sort of thoughtless space, you're awake. And so I don't think I could have got to that realization without the cancellation. I had too many cool things my ego could hang its hat on. I was like, ooh, I'm kind of famous, or ooh, I'm kind of like this rock star guy, or ooh, even though whatever, that's all nonsense, but like my ego could attach to that. And then it no longer could at all. All that was gone. Like gone as hell.
That must have been quite violent.
It was violent.
It's like when you take a big trip on psychedelics, it's a dissolution of the ego.
It's a dissolution of the ego, but when real life does that, it's even better. It's even more hardcore. But it's great, and in hindsight, you're like, thank God that happened. Like, that's the ironic part about it, is like the so-called worst things that you could imagine, if you can live through them and survive them and they don't totally break you, they break you enough in the right way, but not like fully break you. It's like, turns out to be the greatest blessing. And then you come to a place of forgiveness, and basically like the world sort of manifests a new reality. Like right now, I don't feel canceled anymore, and yet I'm free in this moment to really enjoy this for what it is, because that part of me had largely died. And that's a weird egoic claim too, to claim that your ego died, but like I really don't operate in the same level I used to at one point.
So you feel you're a better person now?
Well, I wouldn't say that, because that's ego, like better. I don't think somebody who...
That was a trick, huh?
Yeah, I don't think, but it sounds like that.
That's tricky.
No, but I get that it sounds like that. That's why it's really hard to talk about it. And you come off like that, and I'm probably coming off like that now, but I don't really care, which is better. I know how I mean it. And so no, I don't think somebody who's asleep is less good than somebody who's awake. But I do think we are all on a journey here waking up, and some of us are more awake. And that usually happens through stuff like getting canceled or really hardcore traumatic stuff. It turns out that it's good for you in that way because it decimates you. And you would never voluntarily decimate yourself. You would never be like, hey, sign me up for that.
How come were you so awakened to the fact that it was all a scam?
There was a lot of red flags. There was like, for one, I was already really into athletics and physical fitness, right? So,
you were in that?
Oh, big time. I was boxing. I was like super into athletics and physical fitness. So I took really good care of my health. And I was practicing lots of fasting and healing modalities. Another avenue towards psychedelic experience is fasting. That puts you in a completely different frame. After a few days of water fasting, you are going to be praying more than if you weren't doing that. You are putting your spirit over your body at that point, and that has an effect. But that's a rabbit hole for another thing. So I was already in that sort of healing modality mode. Pandemic comes out and everyone's panicking. I go to the health food, I buy into it for the first like 3 weeks. I see the masks in New York and all that kind of stuff, and I'm like, none of this is really adding up. And then ivermectin was getting demonized like crazy, which I read about having a safety protocol better than Tylenol. So I'm like, why would they be doing this? It was an inner knowing that something was up. And I didn't really get canceled until I started speaking about once they wanted to give it to children. That's when I came out on social media and said, that's insane. It's an experimental injection, which you can get if you want. But to give it to kids who have almost no real risk with COVID, that's ridiculous. And I thought I'd get some support. Turns out I got no support, and it was like a flood, opened a floodgates. And I was really early in speaking out on it. This was before like Russell Brand and Joe Rogan and all these people were speaking. So it was like an outlier thing. I was like a canary in the coal mine because I was like maybe like a year before that or something. Like it was really, no, it was like, no, like it was like within the first like month of the pandemic, like really early, like right when they rolled out the vaccine, I was immediately going like, wait, and started speaking out. So it was like, I then got made an example of.
Excellent.
It was awesome.
Thanks very much.
I know how to have a good time.
Thanks for the, I'm sure you have a lot of anecdotes about it, but that's.
Yeah, and again, it's like, yeah, you asked me about it, so I bring it up. But other than that, I wouldn't ever bring it up. I'm over it. It's all water under the bridge to me. I don't care. There's still some people that think certain ways about it that I disagree with.
Yeah, me too.
God bless them. I have no like animosity. I don't think anyone's an idiot. Whatever. I have my opinion. You have yours. Exactly. Like nobody should hate anybody for their opinion. Like that's ridiculous. I can think you're wrong. I can disagree with you. But like, why would I ever be mad at you? Like, why would that hit my emotional space? And I think humanity at least is sort of coming out of that a little bit more, which I hope. Pleasure.
Pleasure to connect with you.
You too.
Creative, subversive, lucid.
Vous écoutez Lucid Daily.